Good morning, Santa Clarita. I'm your mayor, Cameron Smythe. And we haven't provided an update over the last week, so I thought it was a good time for me to come back and share with you some updates about what's going on here in Santa Clarita and to continue to provide some insight around our activities in response to the current COVID-19 pandemic. First, I wanted to actually start off with some positive news. In talking with our senior city staff last week, we have begun the process of slowly bringing back some of our city employees who either were on paid administrative leave for the past month or had been working remotely over the past month. The time has come, we feel, that the city is able to manage the increase in staff here at City Hall and other facilities while still maintaining all of our social distancing and PPE requirements to ensure that our city employees are continually protected, but they're able to come back to work and provide the services that you have come to expect from us here in Santa Clarita. Now, City Hall still will remain closed to the public for the time being. However, as we continue to increase our staff availability, that will help get business going. So if you have permit requests or applications, you can still reach out and make those by appointment as we continue to increase our staff. So it's nothing earth-shattering, so to speak, but it is the first time in the last month that we've been able to make a decision to slowly bring back some of our city staff and our city employees. And so that is something to celebrate at this point. You're looking at such small things to be positive about. This is a step in the right direction. I also thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of update everybody on the statistics here, not only in Los Angeles County, but Santa Clarita, because as the federal government, the state has said, for any area to open up or to ease restrictions, you're going to need to see some consistent benchmarks. And some of that includes a flattening or dropping off of reported cases, of reported deaths, of hospitalizations, and you want to see that trend continue to either be level or decrease. And I know if anyone watches Governor Cuomo's regular daily updates, he has talked about that and what they're seeing in New York and in New York City specifically. So the first graph that we wanted to share, thanks to the Signal newspaper, which has been publishing these and tracking them, we were able to pull that from their updates that have been a great piece of information for us to follow. So if you look at the cases day by day in Los Angeles County, you can see that April 4th seemed to be the highest single day reporting of confirmed cases, and then you saw a little bit of a decline, but then a spike back up after April 13th, April 14th. You saw an increase, and then as you see over the weekend, you saw a pretty significant jump on Saturday, with then a precipitous decline on Sunday. So we'll wait and see what tomorrow's numbers show. But as of yesterday, or today's numbers will show, but as of yesterday, there are 12,341 cases here in Los Angeles County, with a total of 600 deaths that have been reported. Let's go to, as you can see, the next slide does highlight again and track the daily toll of reported fatalities. And as you can see, again, a huge spike on Saturday where 81 deaths were reported, by far the largest single day jump that we have seen. And then yesterday, another significant decline down to about 24, I believe, reported fatalities. Again, that is county-wide. So let's see, what does it look like here in the Santa Clarita Valley? Again, as of Sunday, there were 248 confirmed cases with 4 known deaths here in the Santa Clarita Valley. And I think it's just important to remind people that the city of Santa Clarita is the 3rd largest city in Los Angeles County. So if you go to the Department of Public Health's website and they have the daily updated numbers, you will see that Santa Clarita has one of the highest raw total of confirmed cases. But keep in mind that would make sense given the city's overall population. This chart that has been compiled by the Signal accounts for the entire Santa Clarita Valley, which you're looking at a population now pushing 270,000 people. So when you look at 240 cases confirmed out of our population, Santa Clarita is doing pretty well, and I think that is a tribute to the community following the social distancing guidelines, following the stay-at-home orders, and really kind of grinding through this past month to keep those numbers flat or not growing at a high rate. So currently there are 35 patients at Henry Mayo Hospital in the COVID unit. So as we know, there have been hospitalizations that have, you see the chart again kind of grows gradually with some spikes, a few dips, but we are at currently 35, and in talking with the staff at the hospital, they have the resources they need at this point to provide treatment and support to not only their staff, but those patients. On Friday, I believe the city joined with several of our partners to provide PPE to the hospital, and especially a badly needed generator that was donated by Illumination Dynamics, one of our local businesses here, that was something that the hospital wanted and needed for any future emergencies. And so the staff there is doing a great job. Our community is doing a great job supporting them. I know I continue to see our Hearts for Heroes program being distributed and shared with our healthcare and frontline workers, and it's a great program to see and to support. Just a couple of reminders. So if we want to, in order to continue to see our numbers grow at a slow rate or even decrease, that it is mandatory, at least and through May 15th, that if you are visiting any essential business, that you wear some type of facial covering. And also, if you are an employer, it is mandatory that you provide PPE, face coverings, gloves to your employees as well if they are going to be interacting, particularly if they're going to be interacting with the public. Just because you have been deemed an essential business, you are not absolved from following the protocols and guidelines. I know that over the weekend, we have seen reports of other states that are starting to institute opening plans. Even here in California, you've seen separate counties starting to make decisions about opening. The only way where you're going to see that, again, is if those numbers continue to flatten or decline for an extended period of time. I think it's important to share that here in Los Angeles County, I do not expect that there will be any changes to the current orders, the current restrictions, anytime before May 15th. The county public health officer and the Board of Supervisors are continually monitoring, but I do not believe that there will be any changes prior to May 15th. And so I know that's still several weeks away, and it's not getting any easier. And in fact, I know that starting tomorrow, we're going to see a prolonged extension of great weather. And I know that that will bring more people outside. And we want you to exercise and walk your neighborhoods and use our city's parks and trail system. But you must continue to practice the social distancing. You can only use our parks in your family groups. If you are going to be walking the trails, it might make sense to bring a face covering, because in some areas the trails get narrow, and if you're passing people, it might make sense to bring a facial covering to utilize, because we at City Hall want to keep the parks and trails open. I think many of us saw this weekend where the city of LA was pouring sand into the skate park at Venice Beach. Certainly we will never take any actions as drastic as that, but the only way we can get to using the city's, our skate park or other facilities, is to follow these guidelines and to really knock down this virus and keep those numbers low. Also, if I know we're still struggling with our students, whether it be with the distance learning and the challenges with that, but also I know many of our students rely on their meals at school. Local students can now still get up to 3 meals a day thanks to the School Day Cafe, part of the Santa Clarita Valley School Food Service Agency. Starting today, parents can take their kids to one of the pickup locations and get a bagged or boxed breakfast and one lunch, as well as dinner. And it's important to know the child does not need to be an enrolled student to take advantage of the free meal service. So visit our website, santaclaritaemergency.com, for a list of the elementary school locations where meals can be picked up. And that's just another great example of an organization stepping up and going above and beyond to serve our community. And if it's possible, I know that many of our nonprofits are also struggling with wanting to continue to provide their services. And so if you're able to, please continue your donations and support of our local nonprofits, because they want to continue and serve their clients the best they can here within the city. So what I'd like to do now is we actually, over the last month and several weeks, we receive a number of calls and questions at City Hall, at social media, on our social media platforms about law enforcement. What is continuing to be enforced, what isn't, what are the rules, what are the guidelines given the current pandemic and the orders that are currently in place. So today, I've asked our Chief of Police, Captain Justin Diaz, to join me here and provide some updates about, again, what is enforceable, what isn't, as well as be able to take some questions at the end of our briefing. So at this time, I'll turn it over to our chief, who can provide some updates, and then we'll get to your questions. Chief.
Well, thank you, Mayor Smythe, for having me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure being here this morning. Just to give everybody an update on what's going on around the station, I'd like to start by thanking all the citizens in the Santa Clarita Valley, and that's not only our citizens, but certainly our workforce out here and anybody visiting the Valley for adhering to the public health order. Everyone's been doing a great job over the last several weeks, and we truly appreciate it from a law enforcement point of view. I truly appreciate that. Just to give you some updates on kind of what we're doing around the station, I want our citizens and certainly anybody visiting our Valley to know that we're continuing with our proactive law enforcement efforts. And that's all functions of law enforcement, all functions of the station And of course, most of that predicates around criminal and traffic-related issues. So please know that we are continuing and will continue to enforce both criminal and traffic issues around town. Crime is trending downward. Since the beginning of the year, crime is definitely down. Trending down. However, it is slightly up from this point last year. But again, we're continuing to hit those Part 1 crimes with all of our proactive law enforcement efforts, not only from our patrol and our special teams and also our detective bureau. As always, at any time of the year, whether we're in a COVID pandemic or not, I just want to continue to encourage people that if you see something, say something. Please don't hesitate to call the station. That's certainly the station's business line, or certainly 911, depending on what type of incident you have. Sheriff Alex Villanueva has been great. He's given us quite a few extra resources at the station. Those extra resources are supplementing our patrol, and you should see quite a few extra patrol vehicles and deputy sheriffs around the city providing additional visibility and security. As always, we've had a long-standing relationship with the major entities in the Santa Clarita Valley, and at no time is it more prevalent where those partnerships have paid off than now. Those partnerships are, of course, with the City of Santa Clarita, the County of Los Angeles 5th District, certainly with our 5 school districts, our 3 colleges, our partners at the Highway Patrol, LA County Fire, certainly Magic Mountain. So we are in constant communication with all of those partners on a weekly basis, and working through the pandemic, determining what works best for us, and certainly working together in a united front. I'm very happy to say and very excited to say that we do not have any positive cases of COVID-19 amongst our personnel at our station. So our station has about 230 personnel, and that's both our professional staff and our sworn staff. And again, because of social distancing, personnel are adhering, they're staying as clean as they can, certainly with hand wipes and, social distancing, and just trying to, do everything they can to maintain safe and healthy practices while continuing our enforcement efforts. So we've been very fortunate with that. And I think all in all, the station's doing really well. Morale is doing very well. Arrests are up. Deputies and professional staff are all coming to work. It's business as normal. I want to certainly thank, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've seen an outpouring of just from the entire community. That's individual citizens, that's business owners. We've just seen an outpouring of support. And I just want to convey to everybody watching today and to you, Mr. Mayor, that everybody at the station, it doesn't matter if it's professional or sworn staff, it's been a heartwarming thing. We truly appreciate it. Again, it makes the job a little easier when you have that support. And that's something that we've always enjoyed in the Santa Clarita Valley, is a strong support from the community, but it's been even heightened, and it's even more so certainly with this pandemic. And with that, I'll throw it back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. And certainly, as you know, it's no surprise that our community has come out to support you and your team, because that's how Santa Clarita is. We circle around and support one another, and certainly appreciate the efforts and the work that you and your team is doing at the station. So before we go to questions, I just wanted to do one more quick recap that we do not expect any changes to the current orders by Los Angeles County and the County Department of Public Health around the safer at home, restrictions on essential businesses, definitions of essential businesses, requirements for face coverings, at least until May 15th, regardless of what you're seeing in other counties. For example, Ventura County this weekend announced that they will be opening up their beaches again. But what does that mean? It doesn't mean that it's back to normal. The beaches are open, but you still have to practice your social distancing, only using, visiting in small groups. The parking lots are still not open. So it's similar to what we have here in Santa Clarita with our parks. Our parks are open, but it doesn't mean you can go bring your soccer team or your football team out to practice now. You still must stay in your small family group and utilize the social distancing. We are seeing a pretty consistent number of cases here in the valley, about 248 as of yesterday. We'll look forward to seeing what those numbers look like today. It's no surprise that we saw a little bit of a spike last week because we opened up our mobile testing facility about 10 days ago. So obviously the more testing we're doing, you are going to see some increase in numbers. And so keep in mind that number of 248 is for the entire Santa Clarita Valley. People that have either been tested at the hospital or have been tested at other locations, but are residents in the valley. So I think the next couple weeks will be critical. We continue to focus on the guidelines and hope that we can see some indications of these restrictions from the county and the state to be lessened, and we can slowly get back to a sense of normal activity. Again, here at City Hall today, we are bringing back some of our employees who were out on paid administrative leave or have been working from home for the past month. We are able to bring those employees back and still provide the necessary protections for them and to better serve you, the residents here in Santa Clarita. And so with that, we're happy to take any questions for myself or for our chief.
Thank you so much, Mayor. You guys both did such a nice job answering the questions and providing information previously that we don't have any questions in the comments as of now. But Emma does say thank you for keeping us informed, and Jeannie says hello from Newhall. And I know that a lot of people are concerned about the health and safety of our sheriff's deputies. Can you talk a little bit about what's being done to keep them safe during this time?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So Sheriff Alex Villanueva has provided all of our personnel, both sworn and civilian staff or professional staff, with our PPE equipment, and that includes masks, gloves, goggles, things of that nature. And certainly that's hand wipes and hand sanitizers. And it's funny, not only has it been provided by the department, but we've had this outpouring from the community of citizens, business owners. We've had 3D masks printed for us. We've had large, significant donations of N95 masks, KN95 masks, dust masks, and it's great. Obviously, we're working 24/7. The sheriff's station never closes, and a lot of these items, a lot of these masks are either disposable or one-time use, or they get ripped or torn or whatever the case may be. So the extra PPE that not only the department's providing us, but certainly the community has been a godsend, because we're going through it pretty quick. But definitely I would want you to know, or want the public to know, that we have plenty of it. We are well prepared and well stocked to basically provide public safety while still being safe and healthy. And again, I think we've done a pretty good job, or we've done a very good job of it. Again, we don't have any deputies who have tested positive, or any personnel at all, and that's out of 230 or so personnel being out over the last month or so. That's a big accomplishment for us, so we're very proud of that.
And Chief, let me ask, I know we got some questions about curfews and enforcement of that, and I know that the city has not instituted any type of curfew on our residents beyond what is already in place. I have a teenage driver, so I know he's got curfews, and there are limitations there for my teenage driver. But can you talk about some of the questions that we've received about people getting, are you going to get pulled over if you're working late? Do you need proof of, that you work for an essential business or anything of that nature?
Sure, absolutely. Those are common questions that come up all the time. So to your point, absolutely, there is no curfew. The Safer at Home public health order, you can go on anytime to LA County's website and certainly see the terms or, the public health order, all the details of the public health order. I think the main things to remember are, and there's a few main things to remember. No public gatherings. I think that's pretty basic in what it means. Public to wear masks if they're at essential businesses. So I think we kind of all understand that, when you go out, or certainly when we're out in the community, we see if essential business is open, we're certainly seeing public and employees wearing those masks. And then another major thing to note is that employers are required to provide PPE or mask to their employees. And I think that's mostly being followed, overwhelmingly being followed, not only by people patronizing the businesses, but certainly workers at the businesses. And certainly any social distancing is a major factor, whether you're in your front yard or whether you're at a business. As far as enforcement of it, we are not actively enforcing it where, to your point, pulling over a car that may be driving out late at night or asking for any paperwork or identification to show that you're an essential business. Our enforcement is not predicated around the public health order. It's predicated around business as usual, normal police enforcement, which would, mostly deals with criminal and certainly traffic-related issues.
And I think traffic brings up a good point. I think one of the concerns that we've seen is because there are less people on the road, there is an increase of speed. And people, I know, I've received some calls about people getting a traffic citation, and surprised that that's still the case. And I think that's important, that you still have to follow the laws of the road, and none of that has been relieved. And if you're speeding, you're still going to be cited.
Yes, so absolutely. So thank you for bringing that up. So at Santa Clarita Sheriff Station, we have a very robust traffic program, and that includes deputy sheriffs in regular police cars enforcing traffic, and that certainly includes our motors. So the men that you see on our motorcycles, there's quite a few of them out throughout the city. So absolutely, they're still providing traffic enforcement. And like you said, our roads are somewhat empty. There's a lot less cars on the roads. And in Santa Clarita, we're very fortunate that we have a robust system of large streets, and several of them are 4-lane streets. And there is a tendency to speed when there are no cars on those roads. But I absolutely just want to remind everybody to please slow down because we will continue to enforce traffic just for everybody's safety.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, we have a question from Daniel. With the basketball courts and skate parks closed, are the baseball fields also closed for use at the city parks if you want to play with just your own children?
At this point, if there is a fence around it, so at Central Park, for example, most of those softball fields and baseball fields are fenced off, and so those are not available. But if you think of Old Orchard Park or North Park, where you have an open baseball field, I believe that is still, you're still able to use that, again, as long as you are just, as mentioned, with your family. There cannot be any team practices, any neighborhood games. It has to be with, again, your small your small nuclear family that you live with.
Oscar is asking about the services from Santa Clarita Transit and what the status is of the bus drivers who are currently not working.
So our current schedule at Santa Clarita Transit remains at reduced capacity because we have fewer riders as well as fewer drivers. So if you are relying on Santa Clarita Transit, please check the schedule to make sure that you are in line with the current scheduling. To my knowledge, our transit drivers, per our contractor, MV Transportation, have put all of the drivers who have either tested positive or been in contact with those who have tested positive into isolation for monitoring and potential testing. And that has led to a reduction in drivers. And so they are continually being monitored. We do protect our drivers that are working. They have PPE. If you are taking Santa Clarita Transit, we encourage you if there is the opportunity to board from the middle or the back entrance of the bus. So that provides additional protection for the drivers. Continue to sit 6 feet apart, utilizing that social distancing while you're riding. But if you are relying on Santa Clarita Transit, please continue to check daily for the schedule to make sure that you are the bus that you need to take is running at the time that you need.
Lori is asking, how can someone get a marriage license?
So marriage licenses are still available. Our city clerk, if you're wanting to do it here at the city, again, our city clerk's office is available. So I would call City Hall and they can walk you through the process. We still are accepting meetings by appointment. And so if you are looking to get a marriage license, call 259-2489, ask for the city clerk's office, and they will be able to walk you through the process here at City Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a lot of people who are thanking you for keeping them informed. And Janet says thank you to all the city employees for your service.
Well, thank you. And I'll just wrap up with saying that believe me, I share everybody's desire to open up our community, our country, as quickly as possible. And the best way for us to do that is to see those numbers of cases, of hospitalizations, of fatalities, to continue to either be level or decline for an extended period of time. And the best way to do that is to continue to follow these guidelines and these orders. California has not seen that big spike that you see in New York or some of Louisiana, New Jersey, some other states. And much of that is because we have taken these steps early. And I know it's a grind. I have 3 kids at home that are missing their friends, that are going through the distance learning as well, that have had their sports seasons canceled. And so I know how tough it is for everybody in this community. So let's work together to try to get ourselves open as quickly as possible. And the best way to do that is to follow these guidelines through May 15th. And hopefully at that point, the county Department of Public Health will see the work we're doing, and we'll be able to lessen some of these restrictions, and we can get out and start bringing life back to normal. But still take care of one another. I know Santa Clarita, we've been through many challenges before, and I have no doubt we'll get through this one together.